What is up, everyone? Jeremy here, and I am super excited to finally be able to reveal to you my latest plugin. This time it is all about that bass. This is an all-in-one bass suite for a wide range of tones, from clean to straight up completely obliterated, and I call this one the Growler. All right, so now, first of all, I want to preface this by saying I am not a great bass player. However, I want to give you a live demo of what this thing sounds like. And to do that, we're going to do a couple things. First, I have this on the completely default settings. I have not changed a thing. I'm going to give you a quick example of what that sounds like right now. This is my Schecter SLS Elite 5-string bass. So there you go. There's a very quick example. That is the completely default settings. I have not changed anything. My entire signal chain is from the bass into my API preamp, into the computer, and then I have a noise gate in front of it that does not have a noise gate built in. That is on the feature roadmap, so look for that in a future update. But for now, completely default settings. Now what I want to do is show you what this thing sounds like in a full context, in a full mix, and I'm going to play the bass along with it so you can hear it in a full context. Then we're gonna go through all the different features it offers, and we'll do some additional audio samples. So with that, let's see what this thing sounds like in the context of a full mix. there you go. And I've had my workout for the day. Holy crap, that's fast. All right. So that is the Growler in the context of a full mix. So now let's just quickly walk through the features that it offers. So first thing is it has an input and an output knob and a mix knob. So starting with the input, this input knob is actually very handy. Pushing this hotter will actually, it'll push the signal hotter into the processing of the plugin, which means you get more saturation, more distortion, things like that. Pulling it back has the opposite effect. And then we go to the output, and this is just handy for, if you're pushing the input hotter or cranking things like the bass and the EQ, you're gonna get more output automatically from that, so you can pull the output back to compensate. Mix is just kind of a handy tool I felt like throwing in here, so if you wanna blend in any of your DI signal, you can do that right here, just so for example, so you can see you can blend it up to your heart's desire. From there, we have bass and treble EQ. So just kind of give you an example here, and I put an EQ on here so we can see this. So here we go. And make sure this is on. So this is a low-end shelf style EQ. And treble. Same thing with the treble. The treble is not technically a shelf, but it is a very wide Q. And I think it's around 22.1K, something like that. And it's a really wide Q. Now, thing I want to point out is it is a 2-band EQ. However, you can kind of get it to act like a 3-band, right? So if you want more mids, pull down the bass, pull down the treble, and boost up the output a little bit, you get more mids. See? Now it looks like a flatter signal, right? So the opposite is true as well. If I want less mids, boost up the bass, boost up the treble, turn down the output a bit. There you go. So now it's more scooped. So you can kind of get it to act like a 3-band. So that is the EQ. Now we have the full-on plug-in bypass switch, all DI, all processing. Then from there you have growl, which is low-end distortion. So if I turn it off, you can hear the low end kind of falls out when you turn off the growl. Now that can be handy, especially if you want to leave some of that low end signal more like straight up DI low end coming through, a cleaner low end so it's less distorted. And when you're playing down super, super low, like this is tuned to G standard on this lowest string, it's really freaking low, and you can hear some of that low end mud when it comes through. Now, I don't necessarily mind it, especially if you know how to like EQ that to fit in a mix all right, and you know the guitar well that you're tracking. So like for example, you can see the cue I have in here. This is where I would start cutting some of the low mids for this guitar because it has a lot of these lower mids in it. So if I have growl on, so I want some of that low end distortion, but I want to get rid of some of those, disgusting lower mids, I would start pulling it around 330 hertz. And then you can see when I turn this off, you get a lot more of those lower mids coming through on this guitar. So if you know how to EQ it, the growl can be very handy for adding low end beef to your tone. Hot is the exact opposite. It is kind of the upper mids to the top end distortion. So there you go. It just kind of boosts the signal into the hot end distortion circuit. So if we turn them both off, it's basically just the DI running through the impulse responses, and we'll get to those in just a second. So we turn on the hot, we just get the top end distortion, turn on the growl. we get the low end. And then the impulse responses. So as you can see from the logo in here, these were provided by Aris Effects. So huge thank you to Aris Effects and specifically Richard, who I spoke with at Aris Effects, for partnering on this and allowing us to embed these impulse responses in here directly. They are fantastic, as you're about to hear. So there are 9 of them. There were technically 5 to begin with, but because the number 5 is a sub, you're probably not going to use it a whole lot by itself. It may be cool in certain scenarios, but we also have some where we've blended the individuals with the sub, which are the ones that say plus sub. So I'll just kind of give you an example of what all these sound like, and they all vary quite a bit tonally, so you have a wide range of tonal characteristics out of all these. So this is the default IR1. And this is the one plus sub. So you can hear it has a little bit more of that like bubbly, beefy low end from that sub in there. Sounds really good. So here's number 2. And with the sub. Again, you get that nice beefy low end from the sub there. Here's number 3. And then with the sub. And number 4 is quite a bit different. A lot less low end in that one, a little bit more upper mids, which could come in really handy in a lot of scenarios. But then you take that and you combine it with the sub and you get this. Love that one. And then of course, as I mentioned before, we have the sub. All low end primarily. There is some top end in there. I mean, if I take the treble and like really crank it up, it might sound a little bit normal. It's too much high end, sounds terrible. Anyways, that one is really kind of meant to be combined with the other ones, of course, unless you're trying to do some kind of special sound design, then it may come in handy. So that is a walkthrough of the Howler. Now, you've heard it with my live bass, with me playing it here live, and I am not the greatest bass player. And this is not technically the greatest bass either. It does do a really good job, but let's have a listen to what it sounds like when we run it through a much better bass, through one of these bass VSTs. So this is Submission Audio Gin Bass. So here's an example of that. So you can see I've got almost the default settings on this. I just pulled the bass back just a little bit. So here is what that one sounds like in context. Absolutely massive. So here's a quick example of what this sounds like. I'll just kind of flip through the growl and the hot and stuff. There you go. All right, that is gonna wrap up this video. If you made it this long, I wanna say thank you for sticking around. Maybe consider subscribing to my channel. If you're not already a subscriber, that button is right down below. Be sure to hit like, that really helps us reach a new, wider audience on YouTube as well. And if you wanna continue supporting me further, find my Patreon link down below. You could become a subscriber there for I think as low as like $3 a month. And that really goes a long way in directly supporting me and helping me continue to make these new plugins and videos and all of this stuff. So thank you if you are a subscriber, and thank you if you're even considering becoming one. And with that, I want to say thank you for watching and thank you for your support.